What's up everybody, Skippy the Loremaster here. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be giving you my opinion on who I believe will win one of the greatest wars in history. A war that is shaking the very shackles of the internet today, is disturbing the corridors of Twitter and the halls of YouTube. Yes, I am of course referring to the next gen console wars between the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Now today we are going to be going over the 5 categories behind why I believe either one will win. First, of course, being games. Second, being specs. Third, being design. Fourth, being controller. And fifth, being backwards compatibility. Now, all these are big issues and big reasons why you would get either one of the consoles. And today I'm going to be going over both sides of the coin for each of these categories and what each console is delivering. And I will give you my overall opinion on who will win. Now, as sort of a disclaimer, we have a lot of information about both consoles, but we still don't have a lot of information. There's still much to be revealed, including one of the biggest reasons someone would buy the console, and that is the price. And we do not have the price just yet, but we are eventually going to get that soon, probably within the next coming months. And of course, that will change my decision if one is higher and one is lower. But as of right now, I have a pretty good idea of which one I'm going for. And as you can see in the background, I focus mainly on PlayStation, but that does not mean I have not played Xbox. I have played every single Xbox very consistently. Xbox 360, Xbox One, all of them. I have played very thoroughly, and I'm actually quite excited to see what the Xbox Series X do, because as console competitors, it's very important that you have competition, and I hope the Xbox Series X does great. I hope they do great, and I hope the PS5 does great, because that just adds to what both of them could strive to be better, being competition and whatnot. And that's just the beauty of our industry, our gaming industry. And both of them, keeping that competition up keeps them up on both their toes and helps them innovate even better and do greater things. So before I start, I just want both consoles to do great. Okay. Now, starting off at number 1, the games. So, PlayStation, as you know, just did a PS5 Future of Gaming presentation, showing off several of their continuing games and new IPs at their most recent presentation. And I am quite impressed. They have showed off Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is a big one, which is not a sequel, by the way, to Spider-Man, the hit and the major seller for the PS4. It's more of like a standalone, like DLC kind of, an expansion pack kind of. And it looks wonderful. It looks beautiful. Okay. Then you have Horizon Zero Dawn 2 Forbidden West, which is a sequel and is directed, of course, by Guerrilla Games, and it looks beautiful, stunning. I saw the gameplay. It looks stunning, and it takes you west to the United States and to the Americas and stuff, and I find that quite interesting. Then, of course, the third being Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which looks very interesting, and I will talk later on how that will use the power of the SSD in the PS5 to do tremendous things, to load in worlds like that, and they're fully detailed, and it's beautiful, gorgeous. And I'll talk later on that and about how the PS5 has utilized that, and other different games that are really good. I'm really looking forward to Deathloop, Returnal, Project Athia, and a couple other really big ones like Village, but that is also not a console exclusive. And those are very interesting games. And of course, Demon Souls remake, which I'm very much looking forward to, being a steadfast Dark Souls and Demon Souls fan. I'm very curious to see what Bluepoint Games does on that one. And yeah, I'm overall extremely excited for what the PS5 lineup has to offer. Now, the Xbox Series X, they did a showcase for it back in, I believe it was March, and I was not that impressed. They gave the wrong image of how it was going to be a gameplay presentation, while mostly it was just showing cinematic trailers. So I was not too impressed. At all. There were only really 2 games that were even like rememberable. One, of course, being Halo Infinite, which is the major selling point for the Xbox Series X, and second one being Scorn, which is like a horror game, which I looked at and looked kind of interesting. And I will give it to Xbox and I will give it to Microsoft. They are buying up all these new studios and trying to create all these new IPs for different people to, to have fun with and to experience new worlds, to experience new universes, new stories, new gameplay. I love that. I love that what they're doing. But for the games, I wasn't that intrigued. Now they are holding another presentation later this. I believe it's in July with the summer gaming events and different other events such as that to kind of make up for their gameplay loss last one. And I'm looking forward to that one. But as of right now, Sony and the PlayStation 5 currently have me sold on the games. So I will give 1 point to the PS5 for the games and then leave 0 points for the Xbox Series X. Now on to the second one, specs. Now, largely, okay, I'm not that much of a tech guy. Okay, I will say that from the get-go. But I will say that most of the specs are the same for both consoles, but they have different philosophies. So different ways to reach their goals in the end. You see, so generally it's thought that the Xbox Series X is more powerful while the PS5 is more fast, right? So the GPU, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong with that one, it might be GPU or the CPU, I cannot remember, runs at 12 teraflops versus the PS5's 10.28 teraflops, which is more powerful, and teraflops are generally like a benchmark for compute performance, and it's like 1 trillion, like 1 teraflop is 1 trillion operations per second, I believe, is something along those lines. And that means that the Xbox Series X is generally speaking more powerful, right? Now, however, the I/O throughput of the PS5's SSD, which is basically how fast it can transfer data, at least from my understanding, is much higher than the Xbox Series X. The Xbox Series X is like 2 gigabytes. The PS5 is like 5. Okay, and that's a big difference. To all who do not know, that is a big difference. That is a big leap. Now the CPUs and the GPUs, as I said, are very, very similar. I believe it's the CPU. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might be the GPU, correct me if I'm wrong, is RDNA 2, which is a chip that hasn't even come out yet on PC market. So it's very new. It's from AMD. Everything's from AMD. So it's all the same kind of, brand, working with each other. And both of these consoles, I will give it to them, are very powerful, at least from what we can see right now. We haven't, of course, gotten our hands on them, so we can't really run them, so we don't really know. But from what we can tell right now, both of these are extraordinary consoles and will make the PS4 and the Xbox One look kind of weak. If I'm not going to lie, they look kind of weak compared to them. And even for the time, the PS4 and the Xbox One were kind of underwhelming consoles, even for the PC market at the time. But this time around, they're completely like on par with high-end PCs. And also they have another couple of different stacks that they have. They have 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray players as like the disc drives. Now we don't know if the Xbox Series X is coming out with a second console, but we do know that the PS5 is getting a digital edition, which won't have the disc drive, but we're just talking about the disc drive. It's one for right now. And yeah, both of them are going to have 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray players, which allow for more data on your discs to go in and much more beautiful worlds and much more worlds, like up to like 100 gigabytes, I believe. And the memory is 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM, which are both the same level. And as I said, both of them are basically the same. They're just doing different philosophies. Now, so far, from what I've seen, more people have commented on the PS5's SSD and how revolutionary that would be versus the Xbox Series X's teraflops and how many teraflops they have. So, I'm no tech expert, but I will give it to Sony for the PS5. So PS5 has 2 points, right? Xbox Series X has 0. And even the Xbox Series X, it hasn't really shown off a lot of gameplay, while the PS5, as I said before, has. and a big one being the Unreal Engine 5, the tech demo, which Epic Games talked about further, and about how the PS5 SSD is truly revolutionary and it's unlike anything that is on the PC market today, which is quite interesting. Now, they don't necessarily talk about the speed. They have a lot of stuff on the PC market that matches the speed of the PS5, but it's more the architecture, right? And everything working together, sort of, you know? But we'll see. We'll see. As of right now, I'm really looking forward to the PS5 and its specs. And also, the PS5 has a big influence on audio. And they have a Tempest engine. They call it the Tempest engine, which is 3D audio tech, which is quite fascinating. It's groundbreaking if it's implemented correctly into the audio sphere. And they showed headphones, which the Pulse 3D audio headphones, which will allow them to be like insane. The audio immersion, being able to hear different sounds and the sounds bouncing off of other different objects, and it's fascinating. And I'm looking forward to trying that out and trying that feature out. And as of right now, I'd have to give the PS5 2 and the Xbox Series X 0. Now, going on to the third one, the design. The memes. The memes are insane, everybody. As you've all seen, you know, the Wi-Fi router and the fridge. Sony and Microsoft are apparently creating appliances now, like home appliances now. But all jokes aside, both of them have their pluses and their minuses from what I've perceived so far. So for this one, I'm going to go out the get-go and say that it's going to be a tie across the board. Xbox Series X and PS5 are going to be a tie. Now, the reason I say this is because, so for what we've seen so far, the Xbox Series X, you see with design, you have to look at two different concepts behind the design and what makes a design so great, right? You have to look at the utility benefit. So how is it designed to make it get the most performance that it can? And the second one being the appearance and how pleasing it is generally to the eye, right? For the utility, I'm going to give it to Xbox Series X. For the appearance, I'm going to give it to PS5. Now, I will say this. We don't know yet the utility benefit that PS5 has put into its design because they haven't talked about it further yet, about how the heatsink and how the flow of air is on the PS5, so we don't know that. But I'm inclined to give it more towards the Xbox Series X because of how it is designed and the PC tower-like design that it has. And I will give it to Xbox and I will give it to Microsoft. They have designed one heck of a console and one heck of a cooling tower, because they've shown kind of like in like you know, different, not necessarily presentations, but like they've shown to some tech experts about how the flow of air is really influenced by its design, which I find quite fascinating. And there should be no heating issues with this Xbox Series X, unlike the PS4 being that jet engine it is. Now, well, of course, we don't know just yet the PS5, but I'm inclined to give a 0.5 to the Xbox Series X for its utility benefit. Now, Xbox Series X, the design, right, of the console is really beneficial to its overall performance and its cooling situation. And also, you put all of the hardware in a closed space, kind of. While as the PS5, the appearance it looks nice. Now, I will say it looks a little tacky, but it looks futuristic, and I love that about it. I want it to be, and I want it to signify the word next generation, you know, because I'm kind of tired, honestly, of consoles just like blending in with everyday living room situations and everyday living room like appliances, you know, just being like steady black and just being kind of not really popping out, right? Well, the PS5, it really pops out, and I like that about it. So 0.5 for the utility benefit and the performance benefit of the design for the Xbox Series X, and appearance benefit for the PS5 so it doesn't burn your eyeballs out. Now, going on to the fourth aspect, the controllers. Now, so for the controller for the PS5, you have the DualSense controller, which is adding several different new features, such as the typical USB-C port, which is so much needed because universal, and it charges so much faster. Thank you, right? Love it. And also it adds different features such as adaptive triggers and haptic feedback. which allow for you to be really honestly immersed in the game so much more, so much more. And allows for you to just truly enjoy the whole gaming experience even better. And they're also adding, like, the design is a tiny bit different, of course. They're also adding like of course a headphone jack and this like microphone where you're able to like speak if you don't have like headset or something like that. If you don't have a headset, you're able to speak into it and stuff like that, which I find pretty interesting. And they're also adding, instead of the share button, they're having a create button, which is different. It's different. But we're gonna have to see how that works, because they said it's more expounding on the whole share feature that the PS4 introduced. So we're gonna have to see how that all pans out, and we're gonna have to see how everything pans out. But I find it quite interesting how they're trying to add to the more sense, right? With the 3D audio, with the hearing, with the controller, with the touch, with the graphical, like, you know, impressive, right? The see, the only thing that we don't have is the tasting and the smelling. So, you know, but that's of course usual. But yeah, they're trying to strengthen that idea of the more senses involved. Now the Xbox Series X controller, it's basically the same design as the Xbox One. It's basically the exact same design as the Xbox One. And one thing I really do not like about it is it still does not have a built-in rechargeable battery. Like, come on now, it's 2020. Like, what are you doing, Xbox? What are you doing? Okay. Now the design's really nice. The design's almost a perfect controller. And they have a USB-C port for if you do put a rechargeable battery pack in there. But come on now, Xbox. Give us the built-in rechargeable battery. Like, come on now. Now they are adding improved latency, which allows you to, you know, to do it much faster, like milliseconds, like, right, really fast. So we're gonna have to see how that pans out. But for right now, I will have to give it to the PS5, to the DualSense, mainly just because of the built-in chargeable batteries. Like, mainly just because it's a preference of mine. And I mean, the design for the Xbox Series X controller is better in my opinion, and with the D-pad as well, but I just have to give it to PS5. So for that one, it is 3.5 for the PS5, and it is 1.5 for the Xbox Series X. Now, going on to backwards compatibility, I will immediately at the get-go say the Xbox Series X has this one, because as I said, they approach it with different philosophies. Now, while the PS5 is saying that they are offering backwards compatibility for most of, like I think it's like 4,000 titles for the PS4, which is always great. Xbox Series X is doing it for Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One. So they're doing it for all of them. And the different philosophies really with this one is the PS5 is focusing more towards the future and what developers can get out of developing the PS5 games and getting the most out of those features that the hardware gives them, and making it like really fast and really powerful. Versus Xbox Series X, where it's more like they're focused on what the consumers already have, right? And focusing on like the past and improving, you know, the past kind of, which I'm more inclined to go towards PS5's approach to this, but the backwards compatibility is obviously well blown out the park, and I will give it to Xbox in their dedication to appreciating the past, and what the consumers already have, and improving upon that. That is a well done concept, and I will have to give it to Xbox Series X for that. Now, with that being said, as of right now, it is a 1.5 to Sony's PS5 3.5. So, sorry, all the Xbox fanboys, but I'm gonna have to give it to PS5 at this point in time, because I have not gotten any inclination that Xbox Series X is going to beat the PS5. Now, with that being said, please subscribe to my channel. To really appreciate it. Click that notification bell to stay up to date on all my most recent content. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy out there, everyone. And y'all have a great day, okay?